Let me let Trey also hear this quite a few sounds.
As you can see today, we're expanding the electoral map because we are going to officially play in the state of New Jersey. We're going to win the state of New Jersey.
Trey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. Glad to be with you.
Did you see any of the recordings of that or any pictures of what was going on? Of all places in New Jersey, man.
Well,
New Jersey.
If it hadn't told me where it was, I wouldn't have guessed New Jersey.
No. As a matter of fact, that was the largest political rally ever in the state of New Jersey. And it was anywhere from 80 to 100,000 people. To draw some contrast to that, if you look at the other candidate on the campaign trail, he was in a cheap lawn chair on the beach in Delaware.
Well, it's going to be an interesting year.
It is. And here's what worries me as far as our country, from north to south. If Joe Biden wins, is there going to be anybody out there who will not think it's fixed? I mean, you have got to do something, whether it's now the bird flu epidemic or pandemic or a catastrophe, whatever it happens to be, war, martial law, whatever it happens to be. These people are in the war room, and some of the things that they're tossing around scare the bejeebers out of me.
Yeah, Paul, I just can't imagine. Even if you're a Democrat with half a brain, I don't know how you continue to support a president that's not that just has shown what he has shown to the American people the last several years. I just can't understand that.
It is scary. So let's get, first of all, a review of all the things that were good and some of the things that didn't. Your analysis of, as Ways and Means Chairman in the House of Representatives, Trey Lamar. Let's a little bit of a review of the 2024 session.
Paul, we had a good year. It was a very difficult year. It was obviously an extremely long year. We haven't had a 4+ month term since, I think, 8 years ago. Because 4 years ago we had COVID and we were cut short in March and had to come back and, for a week or two in June. But this session went from the January 2nd, I believe, all the way into the first week of May. We even had to extend it once, which at one point in time I told some of my colleagues, I don't know if we got the votes to extend the session, so we better count them first. One particular legislator referred to it as the 2024 Legislative Divorce Act when that extension resolution passed, because a lot of families were ready for Daddy and Mama to come home. But it was a long session. It just was. But a lot was accomplished. It really was.
Mm-hmm. I did mention that you're getting real close to homestead exemption or squatters' rights.
That's right. Paul, I'll say this. I think the highlight of the session has to be the putting to rest the old MAEP formula and providing the state of Mississippi and the children of the state of Mississippi with a funding formula for K-12 education that will be on the books for years to come in a much more equitable way. We've got school districts like where I come from and outside of the wealthy school districts, we'll call them, that the truth is they just have not been being funded over the last 20 plus years in a way that is equitable compared to how we fund the wealthy school districts. And so we're very glad that we got that across the finish line. I want to say congratulations to Speaker Jason White and Chairman Rob Robertson and his team that worked. I know Kent McCarty, Jansen Owen, they worked really hard on that all session long. And when it got time down to the end to negotiate a resolution on the budget and spending, discretionary spending, and then some of the other issues, it was good to have a quality piece of policy like the education funding formula to negotiate with, because it really was quality work.
Trey, is there anything that you have heard, seen from all of the people now who are going over this thing again with a fine-tooth comb that would require maybe course adjustment or something you should have put in there, and anything that would require a special session to correct?
Well, no, not yet. Now, there's going to be some corrections that need to come. You can't just do – it's an extremely technical and complicated piece of legislation. We feel like it's good, but we did put off implementation or full implementation of it for 1 year. So we're going to let the experts study it for a year. Department of Education and others will have full reign to look at it and evaluate it over the course of the next year. And then when we come back in January, if we need to make a few changes to it or a few additions or takeaways, we can do that.
So that extra $230-something million is not going to go into the educational fund for next school year?
So I know it certainly will, but what we did, we just didn't run it through the formula yet. We just calculated the number that each school district would get, and we added that additional money to it, and we were going to give the districts their money according to the formula, but the money doesn't run through the formula until next would be, I guess, July 1 of 25.
Have you heard anything about a special session? We heard some rumors a couple of weeks ago about that, but and I know it's only rumors, but have you heard anything?
I have not. No, I have not. I know we've got technically there's a possibility we could come back in tomorrow, being the 14th, to look at any potential vetoes. I think the governor has until the end of the day today to finish his work on the bills.
When will we know that? When will that determination be made?
You may know that on your way to the radio station in the morning, Paul, when you're getting ready. But we may learn sometime all the way up to midnight tonight. It just depends on when the vetoes or when the bills are returned to the clerk's office. We'll see.
One of those was late Friday afternoon. The governor announced he'd vetoed SB 2180, and it was over some concerns related to the Capitol Police enforcing certain Jackson ordinances inside the Capitol complex. I don't want to get too technical on it, but it sounded a little bit like the bill was good, but there were some catches in there. One of them would kind of hamstring the Capitol Police or doing more work that they shouldn't be doing, and also not being able to. I tried to read some of this. It was a little complicated. And one of the things was maybe not be able to act within the sanctuary city or something. Do you have any idea what this bill's about or the problem?
So that bill, I think the main tenet, I looked at that over the weekend, but the main tenet of that, or at least the main tenet of the governor's concerns, appears to be the bill required Capitol Police or allowed them to enforce the city of Jackson ordinances. And there's a concern, and I understand where the governor is coming from here, that the Jackson City Police don't even know what the city of Jackson's ordinances are. How in the world are Capitol Police supposed to find out what they are and enforce them? And we don't know if the city of Jackson is even enforcing those ordinances. So I think the governor, let me put it this way: the governor's main concern, and this is certainly my main concern, is that the Capitol Police are focused on making the city of Jackson inside the CCID safer and enforcing the laws that we have. So the criminal element is not there, or at least in a much more diminished capacity. And the city, to the extent the city of Jackson has ordinances regarding zoning or garbage or things of that nature, that the Capitol Police at this point in time probably need to be focusing on law enforcement and major crime prevention. And so I understand his concerns from that standpoint.
Would you think that the House and Senate should come back in to address that, or is it something that could wait for next session?
Paul, just me here, I think that's something that could wait till next session. Again, I only looked at that one part of it, and so if I haven't had a chance to talk to the speaker yet or anybody on the Senate side. So it's about 7:15 this morning. If we're going to look at that one, then I know I'll hear about it sometime soon. It's got to be done tomorrow.
I'm going to ask you about any other vetoes that are on the table, and when we come back in a moment or two with Chairman of Ways and Means, it's Trey Lamar, District 8. Lars Larson joins us at 7:30. One more soundbite coming in here from yesterday.
On day one, I will immediately terminate Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate, and there will be no ban on gas cars and gas trucks in the Garden State. There will be no ban anywhere in the United States of America on gas. You can buy electric if you want. You can buy gas. You can buy whatever you want. And that's the way it should be.
That's right. That's the way it ought to be in America, Mr. Trump in New Jersey. All right. Let's talk Medicaid. Anything going to happen over the summer on Medicaid, or are we just going to go full-fledged into this in January next year?
No, Paul, I imagine there will be lots of conversations over the summer, the fall, the winter. Just too big of an issue to to just totally go away or to ignore for the next, 8 months. So I do believe there will continue to be conversations about it. It's a big issue. Healthcare reform in our state is something that is not going away anytime soon, I don't believe.
When you start looking at the revenue, the remnants of the left media in the state always want to say, well, income tax is down, our revenues are down, it's held in a handbasket, when they're supposed to be down. We cut the income tax, and apparently they don't make that point in there. They don't make that. They don't make that, Paul. They want to show, something that they think supports their agenda. And the truth of the matter is, we're up, almost $200 million over estimate this year. That's the truth. I mean, they would say, well, some of that's interest. Well, okay, 90 million is interest. To my knowledge, we've always received interest on our money that's in the bank. So, that means we grew over $100 million or approximately $100 million, even though we've cut the income tax tremendously in the last 2 years. And, our sales tax is up, our use tax is up, there are other taxes that are up. And overall, our state economy is healthy. So I'm excited about where we are and excited about where we're going forward, especially, we've grown funding for K-12 education probably $500 to $600 million over the last 3 or 4 years. So we're putting our money where our mouth is as far as education goes. We're very proud of that. And there's some other needs that we have, but we've also made tremendous strides in upgrades at corrections, upgrades at mental health, upgrades at Department of Health, and other state needs across our state. A lot at our IHL and community colleges, we're investing heavily there. And we're still, we finished this year with a budget around $7 billion, and we're set to take in 7.6, 7.7. So we're doing very, very good at this point. And let's not forget, on the ledger now is that increase for teachers' pay. So all of that is paid for, and the numbers still look pretty good on the outside. The initiative process is something that did not happen. House and Senate couldn't come together on that one. I'm sure it's going to be front and center as far as January is concerned.
Well, Paul, we'll just say this: it's the truth. I'm just going to tell the truth. The House has passed the initiative measure, I think, 3 years in a row now. At some point in time, the people on the other end of the building, my friends down there, just need to say, look, either we're not for it, because that's where the bill keeps dying, is on the Senate side. And if that's the position, which it appears to be, then let's just say it, and it is what it is. So we can continue to have that debate, but the House has passed that ballot initiative at least 3 years in a row. So I'm not going to take the blame for that bill dying, and I know none of my House colleagues are either. They feel the same way.
All right. In all fairness to the Senate, though, Trey, they want more signatures, and a lot of people in the state feel like more signatures on here, making it difficult to do that for some of these projects that would be put on there. For instance, recreational marijuana.
Paul, they say that, but this year they didn't even pass a bill. So they didn't send us a bill back with more signatures on it. So, I asked that question. And so if they want to send us back with more signatures, send it to us, and we will certainly take a look at it. But this year we didn't even get a bill come out of the Senate on that.
Any other bills that the governor's vetoed that you want to talk about that need addressing?
I don't know that he's vetoed any yet. Today's going to be a big day. So we'll know. I imagine it'll be later in the day today, because there were a lot of bills that he had to go through. I know his staff is working very hard to try to.
Yeah. What are we talking about here? Because I don't think people understand this. How many bills? And today's the deadline for all of them. He either has to sign them, or veto them, or not sign
midnight
them.
tonight.
If he doesn't sign them, midnight tonight. How many bills are we talking about here?
It's usually several hundred, usually over the course of a session.
Lawyers have got to go through this and look at all the codes and everything else. I don't see how they do it.
Well, they work very hard. They go through a lot, but it's that's just part of the way the constitutional process works. Yeah. And so when it's this time of year, everybody's busy.
SAFER Act, did he sign that one? As far as, is that already law of the land? Was that one signed?
it came through the last day or so of the session, so it may be one of the ones that's coming back today. I really don't know, or it either came back late last week, but I feel very confident the governor signed that legislation.
You know, you think about this, and because if a southern state like Mississippi would have done what was done on this story that I have, it would have been called a primitive, uneducated, careless, hurtful legislation. But there's a new law in this state. The first to do this is that schools cannot use pronouns that are personal pronouns. You have to use the pronoun that you are biologically born with. The legislature in the state banning all schools using people's preferred pronouns, and the schools are going to have to do the pronoun that they're supposed to. The state is Idaho. The state is Idaho. Something probably we needed to do next year. So, if
we don't have that on our books, it needs to be on our books. That falls into that category of things that are just common sense, and we need to. You hate to have a law on that, but that's the times we live in.
Trey, looking at some of the bills that you had and some of your colleagues, which ones do you think we missed the boat on? We should have passed. And I know we talked about a couple already, but anything else out there that gin up some support for next session?
Yeah, Paul, you know, there are some that obviously fell through the crack. One that I worked really hard on was a vape and cigarette registry, if you will, at the Department of Revenue. That's a bill that I know some of my other, Lee Yancey and some of my other colleagues also worked on that piece of legislation. You can go to a gas station these days and just about buy anything, Paul, and from Chinese cigarettes to backroom liquid vapes, this liquid that's made in some back room somewhere that we have no idea what's in it, all the way to straight up marijuana right out of the gas station. And so we've got to get a handle on what's going on in the gas station and the vape store and our markets that are on every corner. I mean, it's not too much to ask to have vape products be run through the FDA first, just to make sure that they're safe. I mean, this is product that is going in people's lungs. I mean, it's not like it's candy. I mean, it literally is entering people's lungs, and we have no idea what's in it. There's no regulation there, and we've got to get a handle on that. That piece of legislation made it up all the way to the very last day of the session, and there was a House conference report and didn't make it out of the Senate. And so, we'll have to live to fight another day on that. But I think that's an area where the people of the state and our citizens want some common sense regulation in.
Is one of the problems with that, Trey, there's no common denominator. And when you talk about vape, we've gone through bath salts, we've gone through kratom, we've gone through a lot of these different things. Is there any common denominator that you could put in there? You can't say anything injurious to health, I mean, because you couldn't serve fried chicken in there. So, I mean, how do you do that and stop what is happening now and stop what we're going to happen tomorrow? Because we had a story last week. There's something else on the markets now that they're doing.
Well, let me say this. So the state of Alabama is ahead of us on this one. And what this piece of legislation did, it said that the retail stores could only sell vape products that were approved by FDA. And so FDA produces a list of those, and so that we would require the list to be kept at the Department of Revenue. And if it was on that list, the gas stations and the retail stores could sell it. If it wasn't on that list, you couldn't sell it. Same thing with the Chinese cigarettes. We've got
I like that. Yeah.
Tobacco companies that are been here for a lot of years, and they sell their product, and they're having to compete with black market Chinese cigarettes. I'll tell you another area. We've got dispensaries. I've met with 2 this week that are telling me that you can buy in a gas station the exact same thing that they're selling out of a dispensary right now, and it's killing the brand new medical dispensary market that we put into place 2 years ago. We've got to get a handle on that.
The problem with that too is we know that this, when they buy it, the end user is going to use it probably when they get back in the vehicle. They're not storing it to the weekend, and that's a little bit scary as far as the highways as they are today. Man, thank you so very much. I appreciate you taking the time. Trey Lamar, who is chair
Always a
of
pleasure.
Ways and Means. Thank you, man.